Is business good right now in the investment banking world? Or is it better?
You know, we just announced first quarter record earnings in the first quarter of this year. So the answer is yes, business is good, and I say that with cautious optimism. There's still headwinds out there, but we think the tailwinds are pretty strong, and so we'll see how this evolves. And you're right to point out that we have both a restructuring business and an M&A business, which historically have not worked so much at the same time. But today we see that it's a little different.
Is the economic backdrop supportive of that? Is it good or good enough?
Well, I would look about the economic backdrop is, look at it where Fed rates are today. We think that's going to be higher for longer. With the corporates, that translates into making certain that they got the right strategic profile and the right strategy. For the asset managers, which are 30 to 40% of the overall fee wallet, we're figuring out what they're going to do, right? Many of them are active. Restructuring, as you said, is an active part of the business, and we expect for both to continue.
Ray, it's fascinating to hear you say record quarter, and then you're like cautious optimism. That's kind of a span. Why? Why are you so cautious in this environment?
Because you still have some tailwinds out there. Some headwinds out there. So what
most? What most?
Well, interest rates being one.
Yeah.
The interest rate, what's in front of us today are interest rates and the state of the economy. Inflation remains sticky. The Fed is looking closely at the data. That's what's in front of us that we have to manage. What's ahead of us is what's taking place geoeconomically and geopolitically. And there I'm looking at 5 different trends that we need to manage. AI is one, energy transition another, deglobalization or reshoring is another, what takes place with cybersecurity is another, and then what takes place with aging. The largest growing part of the American demographic is 65 and over. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the American story as the kind of the anchor to the global north, and then you look at the global south where the largest growing population is 30 and below. So we have to take all those factors into consideration as you think about the trends that are taking place. And I'm distinguishing between a trend and between a cycle.
That's a lot. That's certainly a full plate, right? And so I get the cautious optimism. Is it something that as we kind of deal with all of those and some of the disconnections we might see play out in the marketplace, does it ultimately lead us to some downturn at some point to kind of find our way through it?
I can't see downturn. Okay. I can't tell you that the headwinds are that strong. The tailwinds are probably a little stronger than the headwinds, but they exist. So I can't predict a downturn at all. I'm looking at where the market has traded. The S&P for the past 15 years is now traded at, one of its historic highs for the past 20, 50, 100 years at close to 14%. The dollar is the strongest it has been in 15 years. I look at that and I look at what's going to take place cross-border as an example. The North American wallet still remains the largest. Notwithstanding some of the headwinds, I think the tailwinds are pretty constructive as well.
Do you think you have a good read, though, on the economy? I was listening to the panel. You were on a Milken panel earlier today, and I was listening to some of the comments, not only that you made, but some of your colleagues made, about the state of the U.S. economy specifically, and how what we're seeing in the data doesn't necessarily reflect the true pain that we're seeing on the ground. How much does that matter, that there is a disconnect between some of that top-line data and maybe what's happening on Main Street?
The markets have been able to perform notwithstanding what we see with inflation. Mm-hmm. And I've just cited to you what's taken place over the past 15 years. You look over the past 5 years, you're going to see commensurate data that suggests that at least the markets are performing. There's clearly some volatility to them. If you look at the VIX index, up and down, not as high as it's been during the great financial crisis, but, it's up and down. We need to pay particular attention, as I think the Fed is doing, at what's taking place on Main Street, which is inflation, which is the value of the price of a carton of milk or a dozen eggs.
It's real.
That's real, so we can't ignore that. And as you think about how you manage a portfolio of assets, either corporate assets or assets that exist in the asset management world, you got to be mindful of that. You got to be mindful of the implications on valuations, if you will. And we don't see that togetherness yet, at least with some of the asset managers.
Well, that's interesting that you say that about valuations. All right, so I don't know, when you look at deal activity over the next 6 to 12 months, what are you anticipating?
You know, we have pretty good momentum today, but volatile. So our expectations that you're going to continue to see strategics. They need to grow. They need to remain competitive. And if you see a lot of the activities taking place by the strategics, it included mergers and acquisitions,
right,
stock transactions. So the cost of financing is pretty high, and I don't think the market has actually digested that from the standpoint of using cash as or borrowing capacity as currency because the rates are so high. We are seeing a lot of the currency being used today as stock. You can benefit from that. It's an appreciation of the value of the combination, plus the benefit from synergies.
All right, a colleague of mine, you got 20 seconds. Are you going to run for mayor again?
Oh, gosh, you went there.
I am quite confident with where I am. And, you know, my objective today is to do whatever I can to add value to Lazard and the Lazard shareholders and be a partner with Peter as we've set the strategy out. Now our objective is to go execute.